Hello everyone, odedex here, welcome to episode 169 of my Messenger Let's Play. So as you can see, I'm still here in my HV Solar Array age, HV Solar Factory age, and I've came up with a couple more optimizations I'd like to check out with still the same project. In case you've missed everything that I've changed here, I pretty much included a complete connection to my resources at my overworld. This is why I have a ton of everything here. I have a lot of iron, a lot of coal, a lot of redstone, and all of that stuff. In the previous episode, I started looking into ways I could start optimize this system to work even faster than it does at the moment. And so far, I made two changes. I made the way I fabricate refined iron and the way I fabricate rubber. I basically changed those two methods to be working not completely differently, but a little bit differently in a way that makes them a little bit more efficient. But off screen, I actually realized that I could do something else entirely and actually revert those two changes back. So this is what I'm actually going to do. I'm going to take those two recipes, the refined iron and the sticky resin, and then what I'm going to do is actually revert those recipes back to the normal values. So one piece of resin will give me 3 rubber. So let's change that. If you don't know how I'm modifying recipes, I'm simply right-clicking with my hand empty, so decreasing the values. So one sticky resin will give me 3 rubber. That's the original recipe, and that's the correct recipe, no cheating involved. And also going to revert back this change that one piece of iron will give me 1 piece of refined iron. I'm still going to keep the recipe separated, so the refined iron is still going to have its own furnace, but it's going to be the original values. So the reason why I'm doing that is because I'm going to try and implement an entirely different system to kind of overcome the fact that everything is kind of slow. Because now if you look closely, you'll be able to see that at the moment I'm going to start to be backlogged by rubber. This is now my current backlog, and every so often some refined iron as well. So in order to combat that, I'm gonna come up with something kind of similar to the automatic self-resupply system that I was always using. I'm gonna start using export buses in a very specific manner. So here's what I'm going to do. This one is the furnace that creates refined iron. So what I'm gonna do is actually take 1 piece of iron. Let's steal 1. I'm also gonna take 1 piece of coal and 1 piece of sticky resin. And what I'm going to tell that, I'm going to have, as you can see, a level limiter right here. That level limiter will be connected to the back. Each one will have its own level limiter. That export bus on a redstone signal will emit or craft 1 piece of iron. Okay? And this is important that this is also in a crafting recipe, because this way it will be able to craft from UU matter the refined iron, or the normal iron where it's needed. The same thing I'm going to do right here. So this is the, oh wait, this is the electric furnace. This is the wrong machine actually. I want to do it on the macerator. So for the macerator I'm going to have an export bus as well with a level limiter. So for the extractor, same thing, sticky resin on a redstone signal and either move or craft. And finally 1 piece of coal on a redstone signal, either move or craft. Now the conditions for every one of those things will be as follows. So this one is the iron. So I'm going to check, I'm going to actually need to snag 1 piece of refined iron, there we go. And I'm actually going to need to steal some rubber as well. Let's force craft some rubber. I need to have a little bit to be able to steal some. So some rubber. It's hard picking. Oh, come on, rubber. Okay. So also some piece of rubber, and I'm also gonna need some coal, some macerated coal dust. There we go. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to tell those different machines to work in the following way. So when I have less than a stack of refined iron, emit a redstone signal. When I have less than a stack of rubber, emit a redstone signal. And when I have less than a stack of coal dust, emit a redstone signal. Connect everything together, just like so. And what that means is this is pretty much I think a smarter way to kind of overcome the lack of different resources availability. So instead of making my machines make false recipes to simply dump more materials in order to generate a false amount of resources that it's looking for, completely separate to the crafting system, those level emitters and export buses will basically cause my system to continually create those specific resources in order to craft everything that I need. So now when I look at the actual crafting grid, you'll see there is no specific bottleneck to anything. The only thing bottlenecking it right now is the speed of the craft. Because you can see it's not waiting for any material. It's not waiting for rubber, it's not waiting for coal dust, and it's not waiting for refined iron. And if I actually look at those specific values, you'll see that all of them, refined iron is being kept at over a stack. Rubber is still kind of fluctuating, although it's a little bit faster. And coal dust kind of hovers on the 20 amount, slowly going up. But in my opinion, this is a smarter way to keep everything stocked properly, instead of kind of cheating the system to create false recipes. If you missed it, and if you missed the previous episode, I kind of created recipes that generated more products than they should. Like, I told the system that a specific recipe would create for, let's say, 12 rubber, while it actually was making almost a full stack. So this was kind of a cheaty system to make the thing restocked and resupplied properly. But I think this is actually a lot better. And actually completely unrelated to that change, I actually changed all of those export buses to be moving one at a time instead of a stack at a time. Because I don't know why, but for some reason those values that I was trying to keep here, which were 2000, were simply dropping way below what they should have been dropping. I actually started using a lot of copper as well, so that has been dropping as well. But overall, that has been kept kind of better like this. Alright, so this is the change that I wanted to come up with, and it seems to be working actually fine. I did not test it off screen, it seems to be working, eventually seems to be working relatively nicely. Let's take a look once more. Yeah, the speed is very nice. I think 6 igneous extruders are doing their job very well. It seems like 5 are even enough. No, actually, okay, 6 are needed. Seems to be 6 are the magic number. UU matter count is slowly dropping. Just before implementing those small changes I just did, the UU matter was standing about 190, and now it seems to be hovering on 180, so it's slowly going down. Although it's all very much reliant on the fact that I have redstone, tin, iron, copper, and coal all being resupplied from the overworld. So this is kind of making the UU matter very, very cheap. It's only being used to create rubber and glass pretty much. So this is kind of making things a lot easier. But finally, this is the next thing that I was working towards and I'm working about for a long time, is basically increase the resource generation. Now there are a couple of options that I could do. At the moment, the only resource generation that I really have is my red powder quarry, which, by the way, has finally started operating at full capacity once again. It didn't break since I fixed it, and it seems to be doing relatively fine. I'm still kind of not sure why did it break in the first place, but it did, so now it's fixed. There are a couple of options I could do to generate more resources, but I think I'm going to go for the most easier one, which I was basically working towards, which is creating Buildcraft Quarries. But the thing is, I'm going to try and create a massive amount of Buildcraft Quarries. Let's see, I want to try and push to the limit how many quarries can actually go for before my current energy generation simply fails. So this is something I'd actually like to try. So let's begin with a relatively simple amount. Let's start with like 3 of them. So I actually don't know how many quarries. Oh, I have 3 quarries. I swear to God, I just threw that number to the... need to realize that actually that's the number that I had. Okay, let's get some couple of landmarks. So I'm gonna need some more redstone torches. This amount will do. Let's get some lapis, and let's actually get the rest of the redstone torches because I'm gonna need them to set everything up. I will need. Let's see. I'm going to need 2 more item tesseracts. So let's craft 2 more. and I will need 3 energy tesseracts, so that should be fine. I'm gonna finish for this item tesseract to finish building. In the meantime, let's create some more landmarks and shut this down. This, by the way, something that I actually wanted to check for quite some time. How much strain can I actually put on my current resource processing unit until it simply starts failing? So this is actually a good time to test it. So adding 3 additional quarries on top of my red power quarry, I think, will be a very nice test. Okay, so let's get those item tesseract. Let's actually create a little bit more of them so that I can start having a backlog of them available. And let's go ahead and start doing it. So quarries, tesseracts. Oh, and actually gonna need some chunk loaders. So let's get a couple of chunk loaders and let's get going. Now I could set them up in various places, but I think I'm simply gonna go for my mining gauge because it just, since it's always being forced loaded anyway, let's just mine it at the same age. So let's find a nice place to set those quarries up. Let's just place it roughly about here. So it's already in an existing place. So let's get this up, this, and get maximum size. Now, of course, to begin with, the beginning, it is only going to mine cobblestone and sand and none of the actual useful materials for my HV solar array, but it's still going to... why am I not seeing the borders? Is it normal? I don't know. Let's try it without it. Okay, so let's have the chunk loader nearby. Let's have the energy tesseract, and let's have the item tesseract. The item tesseract will be sending only on my sorting network, and the energy tesseract will be receiving only on the buildcraft energy. Okay, for some reason the kind of the building area of the quarry seems to be not disappeared, but it's clearly working. So this is the first quarry. Let's set up another one on the other side. It's actually, as I've said, I want to try and figure out how much strain can actually put on my current energy system until it simply will start failing. So let's do that. Okay, second quarry set up. Same setup exactly. 2 tesseracts, energy, and item, and 1 chunk loader, just to keep the actual quarry block loaded. I think the quarry block on its own keeps the rest of the chunks loaded for their respective quarry, but just the chunk loader itself to keep the quarry itself loaded, I think that's a must. Okay, so this is now almost starting to mine. It should mine extremely fast. I think, yeah, it should mine very, very fast. There is always this 25% energy loss when you use Tesseract to move energy around, but it still receives a very large amount of energy, so it should be very, very fast. And let's finally set up 1 additional quarry. Let's set up kind of the opposite side. So let's keep it kind of mirrored. So let's have this set up here and find the maximum size once more. Okay, so set up the third quarry, and the second one is also starting to mine. Again, as I've said, at the moment I'm only mining sand, so there shouldn't be too much interesting. All the sand will directly go into my system and get stored there or moved to be recycled. But as you can see, the sand count is actually climbing up relatively fast. It goes directly from the Tesseract to the actual network. There is the ender chest is not a part of the network. It's not part of it entirely. If I could, I would probably set up a Tesseract on the frame quarry itself, but when you go into the thermal expansion website, it actually suggests that you do not try to place any of the specific blocks, any of the energy or Tesseract blocks on frames, on moving frames, mainly because they may not have been specifically designed for that, and they may cause some actual problems. So since Buildcraft quarries are stationary, can directly place them on an interface which directly pushes items into the system without too much lag, at least. While when you use the red power quarry, you pretty much have no other choice. So this one is still a part of the red power quarry. If I take a look at my cells, which is actually the interesting part, okay, none of those is being drained. Okay, this one is being drained being drained quite heavily, probably at maximum capacity. Let's take a look also at my cells right here. How fast are those being drained? None at all, it seems. Okay, this one is being drained because it asks for some more. Okay, this one is being drained as well. Not so fast, but it's still being drained. Okay, so if only this amount of cells are actually being drained, like this amount of energy is being used, it's very much tells me that I can go even for more quarries. So let's try even more. I want to try and go for maximum capacity, see how crazy can I push it. So let's see. To create a quarry, I don't think I've implemented the recipe, but I think I pretty much implemented every part of the recipe, so I can actually try and do that. Let's see. To craft a quarry, I'm gonna need redstone, every type of gear, a diamond pickaxe. That's actually quite easy to do. I do not have a diamond pickaxe implemented, but I can do that. So let's get some diamonds and some sticks. Let's get every type of gear. So a diamond gear, a golden gear, and an iron gear. And I'm going to need some redstone as well. And also let's craft some more tesseracts in the meantime. I've got the 10 of them created already. Let's craft 9 more energy ones in the meantime. And while that happens, I can go ahead and add recipes to craft the specific the quarries itself. So I'm going to need some blank patterns for that exactly too. Let's add the diamond pickaxe recipe, and let's dump that into the system and actually craft one. What? Yes, diamond pickaxe. Why can't I craft it? Oh, I'm on. Okay, there we go. So, diamond pickaxe, and with that in place I can create the recipe for the quarry. Actually remember the recipe kind of by heart. I dealt a lot with it in my very first days of Minecraft and modded Minecraft, so I kind of remember the core recipe. I probably will always remember it without any reminder. Okay, so let's go ahead and craft a bunch of quarries. Since I created 10 of each tesseract, let's go ahead and create 10 quarries. It should be a relatively simple recipe, just a lot of in-between crafting recipes. It requires a lot of those different gears, so it's kind of a long process, but it's a simple process nevertheless. A lot of diamond and gold being used. Not a ton, but just a little bit. So, yeah. Okay, so before placing some more quarries, I'd actually like to improve my actual factory once more. And that will be done hopefully by adding some more crafting CPUs. So I'd actually simply want to improve it in the most basic fashion, simply add more crafting CPUs, basically making it craft things faster. Let's try. I'm kind of limited by, I'm physically limited by the amount I can increase it, because I kind of built in almost every direction. I did not build in this direction, so I can improve it in here. I'm trying to think of the number. At the moment I have inside one CPU and one recipe storage. I think I'm going to go for 2 more CPUs and basically expand it in this direction. So that means 1 more of those border blocks, or basically 4 more of those border blocks, 6 more of the heat vents, and actual 2 more CPUs. So let's get those. So let's see. I'm going to need 6 more heat vents. Implemented, I think, yeah, implemented every type of block when I wanted to craft it. So heat vents, what's the name of the actual edge of the thing? I forgot. This thing. Containment wall. Containment wall. We're gonna need 4 more. And 2 crafting CPUs. Again, very simple recipes, but since they deal with a lot of different in-between recipes, simple and easier for me to do it like this. Kind of, it's good for the lazy people. And that should be enough. And what I like about the molecular assembler, it's very easy to expand. You don't actually have to do anything, although it probably will be good to turn off the export bus. Asking to craft some more, I think probably be wise to do that and turn off this current recipe. All you need to do is simply break everything and replace it. Nothing goes away, nothing breaks, because the actual block that stores all the recipes is still in place, so it still stores all the recipes. Of course, the multi-block is now broken and the network is broken as a result, but the recipes are still in place, they don't go anywhere, and it's very convenient to use. So, as a result of all of that, all I need to do is just place the 2 additional crafting CPUs and simply build everything around it once more. These 2 last blocks, and rebuild everything else. Very easy to expand, very convenient, you don't need to reset anything. All you need is the actual physical space and you're pretty much good to go. So let's finally update it. It's updated, all the recipes are once more in place. It should start crafting things faster, so I can now turn this back on to be always active. And if I look at this, you can clearly see it now goes faster. It's still not at the speed of light, but it definitely is faster. So I'm actually considering it, making it even more faster. Okay, now it seems to be limited by the actual item count of things. Rubber seems to be slowing me down. Let's try something crafty. On purpose, I'm moving things at one at a time. I don't want to move a stack at a time, but what if I place sticky resin twice? Will it indeed move it 2 at a time? Oh no, actually... Oh, it's already clogging the system anyway. Okay, it makes no difference. I could add 1 more extractor actually to make this even faster, but... do I want to do that? When you, in this specific system, in this specific factory, it's kind of, because it's composed of so many different parts, so many different things, there will always be this battle between bottlenecks. There is always going to be one component which is the bottleneck of everything else, and it's forever going to change. So once I add some more rubber production, since it will be faster for, let's say, from the coal dust production, the coal dust will be the new backlog, not backlog, the new bottleneck, and it will just keep going. So it's really kind of an endless thing. Although I did start crafting HV solar arrays a lot faster. Let's take a look, quick look. Yeah, the mass fabricators are definitely working nicely. The Forcicum is proven useful, and this one, which still uses the original amplifier, still does the job relatively nicely. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Adding more crafting CPUs will be kind of silly. It will make things faster, but eventually I get backlogs from other things, so it's kind of silly. Okay, so let's see what happens if I add some more quarries. And by the way, let's take a look again. How am I dealing with the movement of energy? Okay, so still only this one seems to be doing something. This one, if it's doing anything, it's not. Okay, it's fluctuating between being full and not. This one, okay, this one is definitely doing something, but it's all being refueled by those engines, which keep it up very nicely. With the crushed ice and the coolant, all of them are running very nicely without any problem. Okay, so let's try placing some more quarries. However, let's kind of try to spice things up. I want to try and place the quarries actually in a different age, and the age I want to try will be the Twilight Forest, because it has so many different things that you can harvest actually. So I want to try and do that. It might be a mistake, but I'm at the point where actually I just want to explore as many different options and things as I can, so I don't really mind. So let's take the quarry out. 10 quarries, 10 tesseracts of each. I got 7 chunk loaders, so I don't even know if I'm going to place more than 7 or even more than 5. But anyway, got those 7. Let's make a book so I can quickly make my way out when I want to. Should have... No, I don't. Let's make a new book. So let's make a new book to this place exactly. And let's take my map, my Twilight Forest map. I think that was the map. Yeah, I think that was the one. So with the map, which actually currently mapping something very strange, let's make my way to the Twilight Forest. Okay, so I'm in place. I could place it in randomly every place I choose, but I do want to place it specifically above those mounds because when you look at them you can see they're very rich with materials. They have a lot of everything, so kind of on purpose I want to place them on here. See how that turns out. So here I still always gonna have the limit of 64 blocks from each corner of the quarry, but let's try and find kind of the ideal place to place the edge. This seems to be the corner pretty much, so let's say this will be the one of the corners. If I set up a redstone torch, does the edge actually manage to... Oh, come on. I will need some sort of a block. Dirt will do. Does the edge cover it? Does the length cover the edge? It goes into here. No, no way. Okay, this is pretty much simply too large of a mound to use. Although I can still use it, but it's not going to be as efficient as I would have wanted. Let's just use it up into here. And let's find the ideal position. Actually, I'm gonna need to build to the height anyway. Okay, let's just find the other edge, which I have no clue where it is. Okay, let's find it from here then. I need more dirt. So let's place this here and a torch. Okay, easier to find. So this will be the third border. And finally, I want to make sure that I collect all the upper part of the mound, even though it's probably, I don't know how much it contains, but let's just make sure it's collected as well anyway. So I'm going to build to the height a little bit. Oh, I can actually just use those trees as a guide. This seems to be fine. So up until this height, break this torch and right click. Okay, I'm going to break the other redstone torch as well. And right click this one. Let's make sure that it covers the entire area that I'm looking for. So if I right click, it goes up. Okay, covers the height. Okay, no problem. And finally, let's set up the actual quarry. So the quarry, okay, this guy is annoying. Come on. Okay, so the quarry will be right about here. Okay, it's caused a little bit of lag when it updated. Again, make sure this chunk is loaded. And have 2 tesseracts here, and let's have the other one here. The energy tesseract will receive energy from my buildcraft energy. There we go. And the item tesseract will send items on this sorting network. It's going to take a little bit of a while to set up. I think it shouldn't break. Will it break all those in between blocks? I think it might actually. I may have wanted okay, it probably will break all those in between blocks. This will take a little bit of a while, but it kind of, I guess it's something that simply has to do. So it's gonna break all those blocks, unfortunately. It's not gonna collect them, simply gonna get rid of them. Or actually will it? No, I actually think it simply breaks them, doesn't collect them. Or no, I don't know. Either way, it's gonna get rid of them after all, and not dig into the middle of the mound right here, so blocks at this site won't be collected, but will still be mined. So I want to see how that looks, and just to keep things kind of an even pace, let's just make also a boring quarry, so to speak, without any type of mound anywhere. So let's place just one more quarry, let's say right here, roughly at this height, just without any special mound to work with. Oh, come on, this will be an annoying quarry to set up. This age might not be such a great idea to set quarries in. Actually, you don't know how much more dense you get the materials. Like, obviously, in those mounds, you do get a lot of those stalagmites or stalactites. I think those are stalagmites. I things that come out of the ceiling. I think those are stalagmites. Anyway, I do get all those stalagmites or resources, which are very nice, very convenient. But I think when you go for just a general normal quarry, just anywhere, I think you get the normal distribution of resources. I may be wrong, but I don't think it matters that much. Okay, let's go back to the overworld. I want to check, now that I have a fourth quarry consuming energy, how am I doing at the moment? It's still not requesting from any one of those. They all should be sending energy. None of them is fluctuating. This is kind of strange. Do I have so much energy that none of it is being requested? How am I doing over here? Okay, this one is empty. I guess those one are also getting emptied slowly. Or not. Okay, this one is also getting emptied. So is this. Okay, so I do use some energy. Okay, so came back here to check, and I think once more, now cobblestone started being my bottleneck again. This is kind of amusing, I won't lie. Okay, so once again, another episode of me making some even more optimizations to this small project. Apparently, this seems to be working very nicely. It doesn't cause the same problem that making those other recipes used to make. It actually made my system continually create rubber for no reason. Although, as a result of this system, I actually now have probably have a very large backlog of resin waiting to be processed, but I think that's fine. It's managed more properly, and it's kind of intended, unlike the previous problem that I had, that for some reason the system just kept making resin or kept making rubber while it was supposed to be making glass or something else. So this is kind of, at least it makes sense now. Alright, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.